Hello everyone and welcome back guys to my F1 2017 McLaren Honda Career Mode. And it has been a very long time since I last said that. November, if I'm not mistaken, was the last time I made a video on this series. But we're finally back here for round 17 of the season at the US Grand Prix. Hopefully, you guys do enjoy this. I've really tried to up the editing on this series as well, so hopefully, you guys do enjoy that as well over the course of this race weekend. But moving on into free practice then, and I've actually decided to disable line for this as well, but really struggling in the early stages. As I said, been since November since I last was in this car, so it did take a little while to, adjust and to readapt to it. But coming through towards the end of my track optimization lap though, see we did make a couple of mistakes, but mainly purple and green scores. Going to come to be able to get the green score there, but not going to be able to miss out on the purple score there. A little bit unfortunate there, but moving on to my qualifying simulation run. You see get caught up behind Marcus Ericsson here through the first sector, and he just completely parks it through the end of sector 1 there. We still do go purple obviously because no one else has really done any sort of competitive runs. But now through the final quarter, you can see we're 8/10 down, no real point in continuing there, especially as we made a mistake through the final corner as well. But there we are then, that was the end of free practice there. Just want to try and get a couple of laps back in on the car. Really want to sort of work up some R&D, ready for Season 2, because ideally for Season 2 I want to be, in the points very consistently here. But Emma did have our goals for this weekend.
Here's what to expect.
So we're expecting P17 and to beat Carlos Sainz in qualifying there. One of them is certainly a bit more easy to achieve than the other there, but we'll have to wait and see about that. In terms of upgrades, it has been a long time since we've been on this career mode, so really needed to sort of refresh myself over what we need to do with this car over the coming weeks. And I think, to be honest, the best thing to do is upgrade the reshaped combustion chamber. 900 R&D points there, so we have got a long way to go until we can afford that. But hopefully, by sort of the end of Mexico, ideally, we can be looking into upgrading that. But now, moving on into qualifying then for this US Grand Prix here. Really need to try and push this car to the absolute limits, but obviously also still trying to get back used to this game as well. As we come through T1 there, locking up, but still just about clipping the apex there on the inside. So overall, a fairly good T1 here. And, we're running quite a bit of fuel in the car at the moment. Sort of forgot to take that out in the early stages of the session there. But coming through Sector 1, just so much grip on this set of the ultra soft tyres. This McLaren really obviously just come alive through the corners, but unfortunately down the straights there is just absolutely nothing. You can see coming through towards the end of Sector 2 there, 4/10 down on Esteban Ocon there in the Force India car, which actually overall I say isn't too bad going as we come through in towards the final sector of the lap though. Sebastian Vettel sets the new benchmark at 1:34.4 as we come through the Turkey S section. Brilliant fun in this McLaren, so easily flat out on low fuel and the ultra soft tyres there, using the 2017 track limits and just a tiny bit more there, making a bit of a mistake through the final corner there, up towards the line. It is going to be P5 currently in the session there, 2.8 seconds off the Ferrari there, as Kimi Raikkonen goes another 10th faster there, so 3 seconds off pole by the end of the lap there. But you can see overall by the end of qualifying there, the top 4 are second clear of everyone else there. Sergio Perez doing a very good job to get all the way up into P5 there. But Stoffel Van Dorn actually out-qualified myself for P16 there. We qualified P17 on the grid, ready for the US Grand Prix.
And after an exciting qualifying session, yes.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the US Grand Prix. We actually moved up one place from, I'm not actually too sure who it was even, that had a gearbox penalty, I think it was, or maybe it might have been engine as well. But having a look in terms of race strategy for this race, actually, looking at it, we could do the super soft to the ultra soft tyres there, which could be very ideal in the long run. It appears on F1 2017 around a lot of the Grand Prix, there is sort of an OP1 stop strategy that the game doesn't even reckon you can do realistically there. Running 31 laps of fuel though, so we've got a nice, chunk of fuel to run in the race. But it's 5 lights for the US Grand Prix, and it's lights out, and away we go. Charlie Whiting absolutely wasting no time there, but we actually get off to quite a good little launch there, down the inside, in towards someone 3 wide. We're going to send it up the inside of Roman Grosjean there as well, and get actually a pretty good run there. A tiny bit of contact with the Haas driver there, but we now move up into P13 of the Grand Prix here, around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg. We go and have a look from his POV, just caught in a bit of a train there. A tiny bit of contact between the two of us there. Unfortunately, sends Nico Hulkenberg spinning around there. Really not what he would have wanted at the start of that Grand Prix, which did actually bring out the VSC there very, very early on into the Grand Prix there. Not really too necessarily, in my personal opinion there, but not really going to complain, as now the green flags are back out as we come through Sector 3 on the end of lap 1 here, all over the back of Danny Kvyat here. This Turkey S section is certainly not flat out just yet. They're not too far away though, but certainly, yeah, not going to be able to do that just yet here as we come through the final couple of corners there. Everyone going very oddly defensive there in towards the final corner. We're not going to take a second invitation from that. Try and have a look right around the outside of Danny Kvyat there. He gets much better drive off the exit of the corner there. We're going to try and push him out of the slipstream there, down in towards T1 though. We're going to have a slightly better run there. He's going to send it back up the inside there. We're just going to try and hold it right around the outside there. He does make the position stick there. Gets caught over the curb. We're going to get a much better drive out of the exit of the corner and now move up into P11 of this US Grand Prix here. So a good 5 places made up in the first couple of laps of this race, but now all over the back of Daniel Ricciardo there. He goes a bit defensive. We're going to try and have a look right around the outside of the Red Bull driver. They're just about able to get it up, pinching the front right-hand side tyre there on the exit of the corner there. But we now move down the inside in towards the next corner there, and now we move up into the points of this US Grand Prix here. So clearly the race pace much better than the qualifying pace. You can see from Daniel Ricciardo's point of view, you can see this McLaren Honda absolutely fishtailing everywhere here. Somehow able to keep it in a straight line there. He thinks about going for a move on the exit of the corner there, but not able to make anything stick from that. But yeah, we are really pushing this car at the moment. Now onto lap 3 of the race, all over the back of Kevin Magnus here. Going to send one down the inside through T1 there, and now we should be able to make that position stick, trying to make sure to get better drive on the exit of the corner. He will have the inside line through the rest, but we're going to have the inside in towards the S section there. Kevin Magnussen backs out nice and sensibly there, and now up into P9 of the Grand Prix. 1 lap later though, trying to look around the outside of Felipe Massa there, completely parks it through T1, and then on lap 6 he dives it down in towards the pit lane there, which is going to make my race ever so slightly easier. Felipe Massa and Lewis Hamilton both diving into the pits on the end of that lap there, which does move me up into P7 of the Grand Prix. And just a couple of laps later, Daniel Ricciardo, who was just behind me here, dives it down into the pit lane, so he's definitely one to watch in this race as well. But now on to lap 9 of the Grand Prix, we've got Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton all over the back of me here. You can see on the end of Sector 1, the start of Sector 2, Bottas trying to look right around the outside there. Hamilton's got the best seat in the house. A tiny bit of contact made between the pair of us there, but I'm able to hold on for now. But now, just, you know, a long straight did come up very soon after that. Bottas locks up and unfortunately forces me very wide there, which means Hamilton is able to slip by as well, which I'm not really going to worry too much about. You know, we weren't really in a fight with these guys at this moment in time there, which is a little bit frustrating to see, but still, you know, nothing that I'm going to complain too much about. But now, this was really important for Ferrari there. Sebastian Vettel on a set of the soft compound tyres, they're able to come out just ahead of Valtteri Bottas there, so making that overcut work for the Ferrari team. And 1 lap later, Kimi Räikkönen and Sebastian Vettel on turn 1. They're very close between the pair of them there. Valtteri Bottas not able to capitalise on that on Kimi Räikkönen either, but unfortunately for me, we can only sit back and wonder what could have been there, as unfortunately, you know, this pace not really good enough there. Yellow flags out in Sector 1 there, as Romain Grosjean appears to just completely lose control of his car by himself there. Not really ideal in front of Haas at the home race there, but yeah, Romain Grosjean having a little bit of a mare there. But Sergio Perez all over the back of me on lap 15 of the Grand Prix there. He's going to be able to make a very robust move there, sort of squeezing me out wide, making sure he made that position stick, doing very well. Is Sergio ahead of both of the Red Bull drivers there. But yeah, he now moves up into P5 of the Grand Prix. We're going to dive it in to the pits on the end of this lap, and that is exactly what we're going to do. Onto a set of the ultra soft compound tyres, which should hopefully take us right through towards the end of this US Grand Prix here. Going to be interesting to see how well they do survive. As you know, we did see the AI only really able to take their ultra softs 8 or 9 laps of this Grand Prix, and we're going to try and take them 12 entire laps here. Obviously they had to run qualifying on theirs, but still it's going to be very tight towards the end of this US Grand Prix, whether we're going to be able to make these tyres stick. First up though on the old hit list will be Felipe Massa here, and 1 lap later I think we are going to be very close to him. The gap 5 seconds as of right now, but as I said, 1 lap later, the end of lap 17, we're just so much quicker than him. He was right at the end of his stint though, dives into the pits, so second time in a row, Felipe Massa's actually been able to make it nice and easy for myself. But now we've got an 8.5 second gap, 10 laps to try and close in to Esteban Ocon up the road. 1 lap later, 2 seconds taken out of him there. So really looking strong at the moment. The pace on these ultra soft tyres really good in the early stages of this stint. 1 lap, well, the next lap later, the end of lap 19 is visibly closer there. Another 2 seconds taken out of the Force India driver there. So this is really looking good, and hopefully towards the end of the Grand Prix we should be able to close up to him. Kevin Magnussen out of the Grand Prix, we couldn't care less. Another 1.5 seconds taken out of the Force India driver. 1 lap later, another second out of Esteban Ocon there. You can see we're now 2.6 seconds back at this moment in time of the Grand Prix. But unfortunately, just a couple of laps later, they're making a very crucial error. They're pinching the front left-hand tyre there, and unfortunately that did really cost me here. But 1 lap to go of this US Grand Prix here, and we're still all over the back of Esteban Ocon here. The gap, like, just over a second here. We've got an 18-second gap to Ricciardo behind, so we certainly do not need to worry about the Red Bull driver behind. But Esteban Ocon still taking a very defensive line through the final corner here. Now, lap 28 of 28 here, 0.8 of a second between myself and Esteban Ocon here for the extra 2 points in this US Grand Prix here. Up in towards T1, I can hear the tyres just breaking away from myself as we go through T1. I don't even want to have a look at how much wear these rear tyres are really on at this moment in time. They're just absolutely all over the shop. But through Sector 1 here, still closing up noticeably to Esteban Ocon there. He does get a tiny bit of better drive there, but unfortunately just clipping that curb, having to second correct myself. Through in towards Sector 2, they're all over the back of Esteban Ocon there, but unfortunately we dip the wheel on the curb there, and that is going to unfortunately pay dividends. Well, not pay dividends even at the end of the Grand Prix there. That one crucial error there unfortunately costing me right towards the very end of that Grand Prix. A little bit of an anticlimactic finish there. You can see the tyres were all over 70% wear, so the fact we were even still pushing as much as we were, you know, was really, it was bound to happen by the end of the Grand Prix there. But yeah, unfortunately, weren't able to make that final place up right towards the end of the US Grand Prix though. Kimi Räikkönen is able to come through to win the US Grand Prix. They're quite a surprising little victory actually from the Ferrari driver there. A little bit unexpected by a lot of people around the paddock there, but Ferrari certainly very happy with that result right towards the very end of the Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas and Sebastian Vettel joining him on the podium there. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton had 10 seconds worth of time penalties there, which really cost him at the end of that race there. So what a good 6 points there right towards the end. But we, most importantly, got driver of the day at the end of that race. Max Verstappen actually doing best of the rest in the end, able to jump the Force India of Sergio Perez. Esteban Ocon ahead of myself with myself, P8, very good overall. Happy to score 4 points on my return to this career mode there. Daniel Ricciardo P9 and Danny Kvyat actually taking home 1 point in that race. Stoffel Van Dorn doing quite well to finish P12 by the end of the race there. So, you know, alright result from him as well. You know, he hasn't really been able to try and score points in this season, but you know, he'll really be asking questions as overall he was losing a second a lap to myself in that Grand Prix there. But yeah, no changes overall in the driver's standings though, unfortunately, at the end of that Grand Prix. We move ever so slightly closer to Sergio Perez, but I really feel it's about trying to solidify my 10th place overall in the driver's standings. You know, finishing mid-pack would be very ideal there. Lewis Hamilton only now 6 points ahead of Sebastian Vettel with 3 rounds left of this F1 2017 season. It is now very much a 2-horse race as Valtteri Bottas is mathematically out of it and Kimi Räikkönen is still very far back there. But we do jump Haas overall in the driver's standings. They're up into P6 overall. Most, you know, positions are very much all settled now. We've got Ferrari and Mercedes still in a bit of a battle. Red Bull have solidified 3rd place. Force India have basically guaranteed 4th, with Williams having almost guaranteed 5th. We've got a tight little bunch from 6th down to 8th, but hopefully we can try to hold on to that. But hopefully, you know, you guys have enjoyed this video. Hopefully, you know, you've enjoyed that little bit of extra editing onto it. I'm really going to try and, you know, get this final few rounds of Season 1 over and done with, and then we can try and move into Season 2 where we can really try and fight further up the field. But thank you all so much for watching. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time for the Mexican Grand Prix.